On the night of the engagement party, Luis knelt down and kissed the heroine's toes, broadcasting his love to the entire world. "You almost lost your legs to save me. For the rest of my life, I will protect you and love you." He didn't know, the one who actually saved him was me. And at that very moment, I was walking deeper and deeper into the pitch-black sea, wearing a prosthetic leg. I had transmigrated into this world, spent 10 years trying to conquer the 3 male leads. And now, even the last one had ended in failure. The system told me, as long as I die in this world, I can return to my original one and see my real family again. The seawater wrapped around me gently. Just before I lost consciousness, I heard someone, hysterical, screaming, "Don't go!" Chapter 1. Thunderous applause erupted from the guests, raising their glasses to the couple on stage. No wonder he's the CEO, hosting an engagement party at a 7-star beachside hotel. What do you know? Amanda was rescued from a kidnapper's den by Luis himself. The real heiress was tricked by a fake one into a wolf's den, almost stripped live on camera. Shoo, didn't they say the fake heiress is here tonight too? She still has the nerve to show up? Where is she? The stage lights blazed brightly, but no one noticed me hidden in the shadows. The late-night ocean stretched out, ominously dark. Waves carried the damp chill in the air. I walked to the end of the pier, took off my shoes, and felt the cold wet beneath my feet, even colder than the tears on my face. Just one more step, and I could sink into the endless sea. I could finally go home. The system that had been chattering in my mind ever since I transmigrated into this world was finally silent. After all, whether it was the domineering CEO, the germophobic butler, or the obsessive younger man, my 10 years here had earned me only one thing: their utter and profound disgust. "Fiona, why don't you just go die?" At last, as you all wished, I'm going to die. I'm going back to where I truly belong, back to my real family. My chest ached so badly. And yet, for the first time, I looked forward to death. Salty seawater flooded my lungs just before I lost consciousness. I heard someone call me, a voice shattered with despair. "Fiona!" A pair of strong arms suddenly wrapped around my waist and yanked me back. Holding me tightly, I struggled, but I couldn't break free. The man was so tall, his arms so powerful, and yet his voice was cold and sharp. "If you really want to die, don't pick such a disgusting way to do it." The sea breeze whipped across my face. I squinted against the wind, and under the faint starlight, I saw his face. Oliver. His shirt collar, as always, buttoned all the way to the top. Seawater dripped from his brows, down his emotionless face. The man who never touched anyone without gloves. Now, after pulling me from the ocean, grimaced in disgust, tore off his soaked gloves, and tossed them to a bodyguard. "Burn them." Oliver, Luis Group's chief butler, the mysterious and elusive man always at the CEO's side, and my very first failed target. I had brought him home from the orphanage, watched as he clawed his way to the top beside Luis, watched him claim the second most powerful seat in the company. I nursed him when he was wounded. I shielded him when his life was nearly lost. I had seen him at his most vulnerable, and once, he trusted me more than anyone. Once, I had thought seeing that side of him meant I had conquered his heart. But 1 month ago, when Luis emerged from the kidnapper's den holding Amanda in his arms, I realized the darkness I had glimpsed in Oliver was just the tip of the iceberg. Chapter 2. It was Oliver whose hands were soaked in blood, clearing out anyone who stood in their way. At that time, he gripped my neck tightly, his face twisted with such hatred he looked ready to tear me apart. "Fiona, I never thought you were this vicious." It was Amanda's fragile cry, "Brother Oliver," that barely pulled him back from the edge of madness. Oliver could strangle me with blood-stained hands, but he would never lay a finger on Amanda. He could be merciless in front of me, but would never let Amanda see even a glimpse of his ugliness. The softest, deepest part of his heart would always and only belong to his precious white moonlight. That person was never me, never would be. I coughed violently, nearly spitting up seawater on Oliver. He frowned and looked at me with clear disgust. "Who are you performing for?" Performing? Did he actually think I was faking a suicide attempt? Seeing the pathetic smile on my face, he seemed momentarily affected. Then Oliver turned to the bodyguards and gave a cold order. Get her out of here. Don't dirty this part of the sea. Today is the young lady's engagement. So that was it. It's not that he didn't want me dead. He just didn't want me dying there. I was dragged into a car and driven all the way to the highway exit, far from the coastline. Only then did the bodyguards toss me out. A hollow laugh escaped me. Fine, if I couldn't die in the sea, I'd just pick another way. With all the strength I had, I broke free and dashed into the middle of the road. Cars came flying in the night. Horns blared from every direction. Not far off, a pair of piercing headlights lit up my face, pale as a corpse. When I came to, dazed and groggy, I realized I was still in the car, and someone had covered me with Oliver's seawater-soaked jacket. Oliver sat in the front passenger seat. His shirt clung to his skin, soaked through. He glared at me furiously. Are you insane? He had pulled me back from the edge of death again. His gloves were filthy now. Yet, he hadn't changed them. His breathing was uneven, his face full of anger, but the panic in his eyes betrayed him. I almost wanted to laugh. What was he panicking for? Not long ago, he had looked at me like he wished I would die already. Now this sudden fluster, was he afraid that my death would bring bad luck and ruin Amanda's engagement? I didn't say a word, and as if out of stubbornness, neither did he. The car drove through the gates of a massive villa estate. I recognized it at once. It was once my home. Oliver leaned back in his seat, eyes closed. His voice returned to its usual indifferent tone. Your brother said he wants to see you. I didn't answer. I could feel a dull ache in my chest, as if the salty sting of the sea still lingered inside me. I was afraid of seeing my brother. Chapter 3. For 10 years, I always believed my younger brother would be the easiest target to win over. Eric had been frail since childhood, withdrawn and cold, but always craving the warmth of his sister. Whenever he had migraines or insomnia, he couldn't sleep without hearing me play the piano for him. Though I was lazy by nature, I practiced tirelessly, just to make him happy, until that car crash. Our parents perished in the flames. When I woke up in the hospital, Eric's eyes were red from crying. He clung to me tightly, kissing my fingertips. Sis, please, don't leave me alone. I want to hear you play the piano for the rest of my life. According to the system, among all my family, Eric had the highest dependency on me. Just a bit more effort, and familial bonds could easily be transformed into affection points. But it was that same accident that exposed the truth. I wasn't their biological daughter. After Amanda was found, everything changed. The car door opened. Oliver shoved me out, impatience written all over his face. Still not getting out? Who are you pretending to be pitiful for now? I stumbled forward and looked at the courtyard I once knew so well. Inside, people bustled about, decorating a floral arch for the real heiress, Amanda, with her favorite white daisies. In a daze, I remembered how Eric once filled the whole garden with roses, because I liked red ones. Despite his fragile health, he insisted on tending the rose garden himself. Red roses suit you best, sis. Bold and beautiful. I remembered the night I had a high fever. He didn't sleep a wink, cooling me down with damp towels all night. When classmates bullied me and threatened to crush my fingers, he had them tied up and beaten until they begged for mercy. My sister's fingers are for playing the piano. You dare touch them? Everyone said the sickly young master had a sister complex. But only I knew. During the crash, he held me in his arms, crying, his voice hoarse, begging me over and over, don't die, like a gentle little puppy. But everything changed after Amanda's kidnapping. When the blame was pinned on me, Eric burned down the entire rose garden in one night. Then he ordered my fingers broken. You're so vicious, you're not worthy of playing piano. Pain that shoots through the heart. All the warmth, the piano, the memories reduced to ashes. I clenched my healed fingers and stepped toward the gate. The pain in my chest burned anew. Then I heard footsteps behind me. Suddenly, a rough hand clamped over my mouth and nose. I couldn't scream. My breath caught, vision blurred. I saw Eric appear in front of me, towering, gripping my chin like I was a stranger. Fiona, why aren't you dead yet? Little brother. My voice was so hoarse it barely came out. Smack. A brutal slap whipped my face sideways. The impact was merciless. My ears rang. My mouth filled with blood. And you think you have the right to call the young master brother? Only then did I realize I was surrounded by a group of men. Across from me, a phone flashed red. They were streaming this live. Disgust slowly filled Eric's eyes, chilling me to the bone. Fiona, the pain you inflicted on Amanda, I'll make you pay back tenfold. Oliver said you want to die? Good. I want to see how you plan to do it. Chapter 4. Someone slashed a knife viciously in front of me. My clothes fell to the floor with a soft thud. My eyes turned red. Heh. Know your mistake. Beg for mercy. And maybe I'll. Eric didn't finish his sentence. I froze for just half a second, then hurled myself toward the blade. The knife sliced through the fabric, grazing my chest with a sharp sting. Joy surged through me like wildfire. Deeper. Just a little deeper. I'm finally going to die. Stop it! But Eric lunged over and clutched the handle of the knife. His voice trembled as blood dripped between his fingers. 1 drop. 2 drops. Soon our blood blended together, dyeing the blade red. I froze. Eric seemed stunned too. The phone camera remained fixed on me, the red recording light flashing. The people around us flailed in confusion, unsure whether to keep streaming or cut the feed. It wasn't until Eric yanked me into his arms and roared, "What are you standing there for? Turn it off!" that the live stream finally ended. Eric knelt on one knee, pressing my wound, his voice hoarse like a cornered beast. "What are you trying to pull, Fiona? Gaining pity like this? Using public opinion to force my hand?" I bit my lip and let out a cold laugh. If I wanted pity, I would have exposed the truth long ago. Why wait until now? Heh, what truth could you possibly have? Eric kept trying to stop the bleeding. The pressure sent waves of agony through me, making my body collapse. The metallic scent of blood filled my nose. I saw his hands were also gashed, deep and vividly red. But Eric didn't care. He kept pressing hard as if trying to shove the blood back into my veins. Then, finally, his fingers brushed against the prosthetic under my torn clothes. His pupils shrank. "Your leg. Since when?" Suddenly, bang! The basement door slammed open. Startled, I turned to see Luis storming in, fury blazing. One look at the blood, and his face darkened. He sneered. "Fiona, you just don't know how to stay dead, do you? Deliberately streaming this mess during the engagement party for attention?" His eyes burned with rage. "A perfectly good engagement ceremony. How far are you willing to go just to disgust everyone?" I took a deep breath. Dull pain pulsed in my chest. My lips were sticky with blood. That look in his eyes, disgust and contempt, I'd long since grown used to it. To them, I would always be the unforgivable fake heiress. No matter what I did, it was always seen as provocation. Eric stepped in front of me, twisted with conflict. He opened his mouth to speak. Luis scoffed and swatted away his hands. "What? Feeling sorry for her now? The night Fiona hurt Amanda. Who was it that swore he'd get justice for her?" Eric faltered, then lowered his head in silence and stepped aside. Of course, even Eric once believed I was the one who had done something so vile. Even after discovering I wore a prosthetic, he still didn't change. Blood soaked my clothes. I felt colder and colder. "Honey?" Amanda's tearful gasp echoed. "Oh my God, what happened to sis?" "Amanda, don't look." Luis quickly shielded her, coaxing her in a gentle voice. "Don't be scared. It's all fake. You're okay." Amanda sobbed. Her tears soaked Luis's shirt. Heartbreakingly fragile. How could she do this? Today was our engagement. I invited her with good intentions. Why would she seek attention like this? Her voice cracked. Her red-rimmed eyes trembled with wet lashes. The men around her gathered to comfort her. "That's right, Amanda. Don't worry. Fiona's just trying to make a scene. She's jealous of you. So jealous she's lost her mind. Take Amanda to rest. Don't let her see this disgusting mess. Where's the doctor? Check if Miss Amanda is traumatized." And that so-called disgusting mess was me. It suddenly hit me. Maybe this was the perfect chance to leave this world. No explanations. No more struggle. Just hold on a little longer. Once the blood drained dry, I could go home. The icy dizziness crept back again. I let my eyes close. Satisfied. The smell of disinfectant. A cold operating table. Despair returned the moment I woke up. I had been saved. Again. My breath trembled. Nearby, I heard nurses whispering, Good thing Luis's private helicopter got there in time. She'd be dead otherwise. They sent her to Luis's private hospital first, then pulled strings to get her here. They say it was because someone realized her leg's a prosthetic. What's so special about the prosthetic? Buzz. Something snapped in my mind. They found out about the prosthetic? Footsteps approached the door. Chapter 5. Oliver's face appeared at the door, one hand in his pocket. He stared at me coldly. Fiona, do you regret it now? Did a guilty conscience cost you your leg? His expression looked like he was watching a bad joke. I stared at the ceiling and let out a bitter laugh. Yeah, I regret it. A tear slipped down my cheek. I regret ever trusting that damn system. Regret being stupid enough to save Luis. Luis had amnesia when I saved him. The tall man lay bloody in a back alley, looking like a wild beast. The system screamed in my head. This is the best opportunity to capture the CEO in history. So I did. I brought him back to the tiny apartment I'd rented from working odd jobs. I tended his wounds and stayed by his side day and night. The amnesiac Luis had lost some of that cold arrogance. He was still domineering and forceful, but oddly pure. He'd trap me in the kitchen, forehead against mine, breath mingling. Don't leave me. He'd have dinner ready when I came home. He massaged me, made love to me, night after night. Fiona, your eyes should only ever look at me. You're mine. That version of Luis had no past. No future, only me. He even proposed to me on my birthday. Under the moonlight. Fiona, marry me. I really believed we were in love. Even the system shot off fireworks for successful capture. Too bad reality slapped me hard. The day the assassin's car charged at him. I pushed him out of the way without a second thought. The wheels crushed my legs. They were completely destroyed. I thought when I woke up, he'd be by my side, holding my hand, whispering, Fiona, I'll never leave you. But when I came to, my legs were gone. So was Luis. Luis said Amanda had saved his life. He said he remembered everything. But in the memories Luis recovered, there was no me. Even when I showed up at the engagement party with a prosthetic leg and the ring we once picked out together, asking, Luis, do you really not remember me? He just shoved my hand away coldly. Fiona, you need to understand, someone as toxic as you, no one in this world could ever love. The ring rolled into the gutter, just like my pathetic, dirty life. The memories made my whole body go cold. I cried silently. Oliver stood in the doorway watching. He didn't speak again. His gaze was dark and unreadable. After a long moment, he spoke quietly. Fine. Oliver took a step closer, towering over me. Then I'll marry you. I froze, thinking I must have misheard. Oliver narrowed his eyes, his tone laced with sarcasm. As long as you stay put and stop interfering with Luis and Amanda, I'll give you a title. He looked down at me, each word cold and clipped. Is that enough for you? Can you stop acting now? I laughed, bitter and broken. To make Amanda happy, you'd really marry me? Oliver, you make me sick. Why are you crying? My tears seemed to stab him. Oliver's voice faltered. My fingers clutched the sheet so tightly they turned pale. I want to go home. Eric had walked in at some point. He gave a mocking chuckle, arms crossed. Go home? You want to go home? If you beg me, maybe I'll consider it. I slapped him across the face. But my wounds weren't healed yet. The sudden motion tore them open again. Blood dripped from my fingertips. Eric's eyes darkened for a moment. But he didn't lash out. He slowly loosened his posture, then laughed softly. Right, you're marrying Oliver anyway. I won't bother with you anymore. What do they even know? The home I want to go back to was never here. I want to return to the world before I transmigrated, to where my real family is. I looked up at the men in the room, Oliver, Eric, and Luis, who sat silently on the couch the entire time. Luis stared at my prosthetic leg, expression unfathomable. But in the end, he said nothing. Chapter 6. The marriage registration was absurdly simple. Oliver signed without hesitation, clean and fast. On our wedding night, he brought me back to his private apartment. The entire place was black, white, and gray, not like a home, more like a cage, standing before the floor-to-ceiling window. Oliver glanced at me indifferently. His tone was utterly flat. This is your home now. Go wash yourself. Home? What a ridiculous word. I walked into the bathroom, turned on the tap, locked the door. Hot water poured down, steam blurring my vision. I removed my prosthetic leg, slowly sank into the bathtub, letting the warmth embrace me. Then I picked up the razor and gently drew it across my wrist. Scarlet threads of blood spread and mingled with the bathwater. How could anyone stop someone truly determined to die? Sweetheart, why are you crying so hard? Mom and Dad hugged me, surrounded by the familiar scent of home. I was back. I threw myself into their arms, sobbing so hard I could barely breathe. I had a nightmare. I lost my leg for a man. They all hated me, locked me up. Nowhere felt like home. Mom gently stroked my hair. Silly child. It was just a dream. It's over. Mommy's here. The pot of porridge bubbled on the stove. Dad scooped a bowl, blew on it, and held it to my lips. Come on, have a bite. The warmth flooded my senses. But just as I opened my mouth, they both turned to mist and vanished. Dad, Mom, please, don't leave me. I screamed, jerking awake. The light was blinding. My heart pounded. Then I saw him, a man sitting silently by my bed. It was Eric. He looked down, fingertips brushing my cheek, seemingly intrigued by the tears on my face. You were crying out for your mom and dad in your dream. I froze. Pain pulsed deep in my chest. Eric narrowed his eyes. Sparks flew in his gaze, searing into me. If you still remember our parents, Fiona, how could you keep hurting Amanda over and over? Eric. I met his eyes head on, unwavering. You were never my brother. You're all fake. His expression instantly changed. The fingers on my face trembled. So Amanda was telling the truth, he muttered hoarsely. You really are insane. Before he could finish, a group of people in white uniforms entered. They carried restraints and moved with practiced efficiency. Young master, as per your instructions, we'll begin treatment immediately. Eric! I screamed, thrashing wildly. I knocked over the cabinet nearby. The four in my wrist tore out, blood splattered on the floor. But they were faster. They pinned me down and strapped me tightly. They didn't hold back. Every strap hurt. Eric stood at the door. A flicker of hesitation crossed his eyes. But he turned around and walked away. Fiona, focus on getting better. The more I struggled, the tighter the restraints dug into my flesh, until my skin turned white. The three men I tried to win over had actually locked me in a psychiatric ward. Every day I woke to the blinding light on the ceiling. Sedatives in my veins, limbs restrained. I couldn't move. If I screamed or fought back, they'd inject more drugs. Those men had abandoned me completely. Click. The door opened. The crisp sound of high heels echoed on the floor. I turned my head, and there she was, Amanda, dressed in a pure white gown, elegant and composed, a soft, practiced smile on her lips. Sis, why did you have to take it this far? She leaned closer to my ear. Her voice was light as poison gas. You want to die? Want to go back to your original world? Chapter 7. Amanda's voice was soft, like a serpent's tongue slithering near my ear. I jerked my head up, staring at her in shock. Amanda knew. How could Amanda possibly know? Seeing the shock on my face seemed to please her. Her smile grew even colder. She leaned in close, her voice sharp as ice scraping bone. You worked so hard to win over those three men in this world, and still failed. Now you just want to go back to where you came from. Her fingers were icy, gliding across my face like a snake. Fiona, I won't kill you. I'll keep you alive, for a very, very long time. Her voice turned merciless. Because I'm a player too, and in my mission, the more you suffer, the higher I score. The door closed again. Amanda walked out. The room fell into a cold, suffocating silence. The last shred of hope in my heart completely shattered. So Amanda had known everything from the start. She knew I had to conquer 3 male leads. She knew I'd failed. She knew I wanted to go home. She knew I wanted to die. And she would never let me. Amanda would keep me alive, just so I'd suffer endlessly. I became so obedient, always sitting quietly by the window, staring at the sky in the distance. My entire being hollow like a walking corpse. Until my birthday came, Oliver and Eric showed up again. Oliver wore a crisp, unnaturally tidy shirt, buttoned all the way to the collar. He actually reached out to fix the messy strands of hair on my forehead. He still wore gloves, but his touch was so gentle, like he was afraid of hurting me. "Fiona, as long as you behave and stop causing trouble, they won't hurt you again. Luis has agreed to find the best doctors for your treatment," Eric added. "Once you're better, kneel down and apologize to Amanda. Maybe everything can go back to normal." I looked up at them, suddenly reached out, clutching the hems of their shirts with trembling hands. My voice barely a whisper. "Oliver, Eric, please, call Luis. I want to see him." Both men froze. Amanda, off to the side, went pale. Did we not give her enough sedatives? I had never shown this kind of weakness in front of either man. Now, in desperation, tears spilled again. Panicking, Amanda tried to push them out of the room, afraid I'd say something more. But just then, a tall figure blocked the light. Luis stood at the doorway, silhouetted by the sun, staring down at me. "You asked for me. What do you want to say?" His face was as cold and flawless as ever, handsome like a god. Chapter 8. I stared into Luis's eyes, all my pain rising to my throat. I was just about to speak when Amanda suddenly rushed in front of him, clutching his arm and softly saying, "Luis, Oliver, Eric, the doctors are here. Fiona's getting unstable again. The nurses want to give her a sedative. You should leave, or she might hurt herself." Luis frowned and hesitated for a moment. But in the end, he stepped back, siding with Amanda. Oliver and Eric also turned to leave. No, I watched helplessly as they were about to walk out. My last shred of hope was about to vanish. I nearly screamed my lungs out. Amanda looked back at me, a triumphant smirk tugging at her lips. She said coldly, "Fiona, did you really think they'd believe you? You've already lost. Be a good girl and stay here, forever." Despair surged through me, my eyes turning blood red. Fine, I'll admit defeat. But saying those words was part of my plan, to lure Amanda close. I suddenly sprang from the bed, ripped off the restraint strap, and lunged forward, grabbing Amanda tightly. "What are you doing? Let me go!" She screamed and struggled. The commotion brought the men rushing back in, stunned by what they saw. Blood poured from my wrist as I held Amanda in a vice grip by the neck, my eyes filled with grim determination. "If I die, I can go back to my world. But you can't, right? You." Amanda's eyes widened in shock. I'd gambled right. Since entering this world, it was the first time I'd truly tried to hurt her, and it worked. "Fiona, let Amanda go." Luis charged forward, his eyes cold as blades. Just then, the air in the room began to tremble. A robotic, emotionless voice echoed through everyone's ears. Memory replay transaction initiated. It was the playback I had traded my real-world life for, my final price. Light shimmered in the air, and images began to materialize. That day, Luis cupped my face and knelt before me with a ring. "Fiona, marry me. You saved my life. I'll never leave you." He held me gently, so different from the cold, unfeeling man he was now. The scene shifted. My leg was run over, bones shattered, flesh torn apart. Amanda's voice rang out clearly. "Luis lost his memory because I planned the crash. As long as he forgets Fiona, everything will be mine." Luis was completely unharmed. Amanda had been placed beside him, pretending to be the one who saved him. The men's faces turned ghostly pale. More scenes played, Amanda smiling at me in the hospital. "They'll never believe you. I'll make your life a living hell." The three men stared at the footage. Their eyes went from shock, to disbelief, to rage, and finally to deep guilt and regret. Luis stood frozen, mumbling, "No, this can't be real." Oliver, pale as a sheet, usually calm and composed, now looked completely lost. Eric was already on his knees, eyes bloodshot. Only Amanda's face grew darker and darker. She struggled wildly, screaming, "It's fake! All of it is fake!" I sneered, ignoring their panicked cries. The wind howled against my cheeks as I stepped off the edge, dragging Amanda with me. "Fiona!" Behind me, all three men lunged forward in desperation to stop me. Chapter 9. Not far away, the men were shouting my name, desperate, broken, and out of their minds. Luis's face was ghostly pale, the once proud, Untouchable CEO now looked completely shattered. Panic etched into every line of his face. Fiona, don't jump. I believe you. We can start over again. You're still the only one I love. Oliver reached out with all his strength. The man who never removed his gloves was now barehanded. His pale, slender fingers trembling, his lips quivered, and in his eyes, I saw something I had never seen before, fear. Fiona, I'm begging you. If you just come back, I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. Eric was on his knees, sobbing uncontrollably. His voice was hoarse, broken, like that nervous boy from years ago who used to cry whenever he was scared. Sis, please. Don't leave me. I'm begging you. Come back, okay? Their voices blended into the wind, raspy, pleading, full of despair, like 1,000 needles stabbing into my chest. But they didn't know. The ones who don't cry or scream are the ones who've already given up all hope. And when the time comes, they just leave, silently. I had stopped wanting them a long time ago. The wind poured in through the open window. I closed my eyes, a small smile on my lips. This time, no one could stop me. Just as I was falling, the system's voice echoed. Fiona, your mission is complete. All 3 male leads have fallen completely in love with you. You've fulfilled all objectives. Do you wish to stay and enjoy their undying love and loyalty? No, I want to go home. I didn't hesitate for even a second. The system paused briefly. Understood. Returning you now. Before everything went dark, the system showed me what happened after I died. Luis sat by the ditch near the sea, searching for the ring with his bare hands over and over, until they were raw and bleeding. He finally found it and slowly slid it onto his own ring finger. From that day on, the CEO never took it off again. Oliver held my cold, shattered prosthetic in his arms, murmuring incoherently, Fiona, didn't you say you wanted me to touch you? Why don't you want me anymore? That man with the obsessive need for cleanliness locked away everything that belonged to me, my things, my ashes, inside his home, vowing never to be separated from me again. Eric sat in front of the piano every day, fingers trembling, unable to play the song I once played for him. Eventually, he burned the piano, burned down the whole villa with it. In the flames, he closed his eyes peacefully. Sis, wait for Eric. I watched it all, yet my heart was completely calm. Finally, the white light faded. When I opened my eyes again, the kitchen smelled like rice porridge. Dad stood there with a steaming bowl, smiling warmly. Sweetheart, still dazed? Come eat. Mom came over, lovingly patting my butt. Look at you, sleepyhead. And that was when my tears finally fell, without restraint. Dad. Mom. I'm finally back. I opened my mouth and bit down on the spoon Dad held out. The hot porridge slipped in, warm and sweet. I almost cried from how good it tasted. It's so good. Life is a river that never stops flowing. There will still be family, and there will still be a tomorrow.